So navigating Bitcoin cycles. Bitcoin behaves in these cycles, and so we're just finishing up on the fourth cycle. And the reason why we have these cycles is largely to do with the issuance schedule of Bitcoin. So the amount of Bitcoin, new Bitcoin supply coming onto the market halves every 4 years, and so there is a coinciding increase in price when that happens, usually within 6 months to 1 year. But it's not necessarily just because of the issuance supply schedule, but it could be to do with liquidity factors in the macroeconomic environment as well. But typically there are cycles, and we all in the Bitcoin community agree on this. And so you just have to know that, and if you want to invest in Bitcoin, you have to know where you are in the cycle, right? So there are bull markets in the cycle. These are these green arrows, and there are bear markets in the cycle. Okay, so typically it's great to invest at the bottom of bear markets where everyone is most depressed. Okay, and then and this is where the hardcore Bitcoin maxis like myself would buy the Bitcoin at those points. And then typically you don't really want to buy when it's really peaking at the top of the bull markets when everyone's euphoric. Okay, so you have to know where you are in this, and it'll especially help you to understand these cycles if you're holding through a bear market, so you know that this is actually the normal state of where Bitcoin is at in its life cycle. So the key is that you should dollar cost average, okay, because you can't really time when you're going to be at the top, when you're going to be at the bottom. So you should be just buying at regular intervals and not having to worry about timing markets. You shouldn't measure the success of the Bitcoin project by the price, at least in the short term, because you're going to get times when it's euphoric and the price is overblown, and therefore then it's going to eventually correct. And you're also going to get times when it's oversold, and that it will then correct to the upside because it's actually worth more than what the market is feeling, because the sentiment is quite bearish and depressed and emotional, and there's a lot of fear. So you shouldn't be measuring the success in the short term of Bitcoin by price, but over the long term, yes, because if we are, obtaining more trust in the network, and it's actually being used more and more, and there's more development going on, then you'd expect the price to go up over time. But typically the best metric to follow is how healthy the community is. Is there development going on? Is there companies building on top of it? What's the general sentiment of people? Is it improving or is it declining? Those things, which are much more difficult to measure, should be your gauge. And the only way to sort of get that is to be involved in the community and sort of actively keeping up to date with what's happening. So there are personas of the investors in Bitcoin that you should be aware of. You've got the maxis, or the Bitcoiners, and these guys are like myself, and they love the Bitcoin, and they will buy and hold, and they truly understand the project and the mission. And so they are the ones who are constant buyers. Then you've got the traders, and they come and go during the bull markets to make money, and then they leave during the bear markets. And so you've got to watch out for them. So when the price is starting to go up, that's when they come on board and just jump on the train. And then you've got the investors, the new investors, they can be called retail, and they come in typically only when the price has been going up for a while, and then they come in at the tops, and then unfortunately a lot of them get wrecked and they sell out. And the traders sell out too because they're just in it for a quick buck, and then the maxis just come in and start buying the cheap Bitcoin. The good thing is that a lot of these investors and traders do become Bitcoin maxis. There is an evolution as they learn more about what this asset really is. And so, I've bought every top, and I'll be buying the top forever. That's just the nature of the monetary system at the moment, and also the fact that Bitcoin is monetizing. But also bought the dips. Okay, and this is just dollar cost averaging. Okay, so don't worry if you're buying the top. Just don't buy too much at the tops, or if you're buying at highs, you don't know where the top is. But if you're buying at highs, you buy little bits when it's high. Okay, and don't worry, because all of us maxis will be buying the top forever. It's going up forever because the dollar is going down forever. So this again is where this meme is so important to sort of understand. You'll know when you become a Bitcoiner when this meme makes sense to you, that Bitcoin will eventually be the unit of account. So it's not something that you necessarily sell. You can sell it to buy things, but the Bitcoiner understands that this will be the money that people will want to own. So now, so the risks of Bitcoin. Well, there are risks. It's not a perfect investment at this stage. If there was no risks, there'd be no reward. Bitcoin would be at $1 million plus by now. So the risks are that there may be, you don't want development stagnation. If I see there's stagnation in terms of developing on Bitcoin, I'd be concerned, but I don't see that at the moment. If there's community stagnation and people just are giving up on the project, if there's centralization in the protocol, so if there's few nodes or mining is becoming highly centralized, then that's a concern. Are we achieving more and more legal acceptance and political acceptance? Typically in the West, we are seeing this trending in the right direction. There'll be others among you who have concerns such as, will it be banned, copied, hacked, or replaced? So will it be banned? I'm not too worried about it being banned in the developed world because we actually have strong property rights and the courts have Bitcoin as backs because it is just property rights. Now, if our countries become quite dystopian in terms of our laws and authoritarian, then yes, then it'll become a concern to hold Bitcoin. But as far as what I can see is we're still okay. We're still democratic liberal nations, and so it should uphold property rights for Bitcoin holders. Can it be copied? It's been copied 10,000 times already, but that doesn't do anything to Bitcoin because you can copy the protocol, but you can't copy the network. You can't copy the network of miners securing it, the computers securing it, the individuals themselves. Can it be hacked? Well, it's 15 years in and it hasn't been hacked yet. And it's so simple that it's open source that we've got a million eyes looking at the code and looking at trying to find ways to hack it. It hasn't been hacked yet. So as time goes on, the risk of this comes less and less. Then of course people will say, what about if quantum computing comes about? Well, actually quantum secure cryptography does exist already and it can be implemented on Bitcoin. So whenever quantum computers come about, we just introduce the quantum secure cryptography into Bitcoin. You don't throw out the entire protocol because you have to replace a few algorithms. You don't throw the whole idea of a computer out the door because quantum computers are in existence. You update your computers to be quantum resistant. Can it be replaced? Could be, but it'll take some sort of technology that is an order of magnitude better than Bitcoin, and we would see it on the horizon. So I don't see anything on the horizon that's going to be able to replace Bitcoin from a monetary point of view at this stage. The Bitcoin really fits into the decentralized standard. Okay, so we decentralize our politics in terms of, and how we apply that is through democracy. We decentralize our markets through capitalism. We decentralize our information through the internet. And I believe in a few years or decades, we'll decentralize the money through Bitcoin. They all have a common set of values in that they are all decentralized in governance. They are all bottoms-up systems. They are generally transparent. They bring freedom to the individual, and they create a permissionless infrastructure so that if you want to go create a business, you can. If you want to go use the internet, you can. If you want to vote, you can. And they all generally tilt the balance of power to the individual. Bitcoin is ESG, okay? So we know now that it's good for the environment. We know that it's great socially in that it's providing property rights to the world's poor. And it's got as good a governance as all of these other systems we use. Democracy, capitalism, and the internet. It's great. It's got great governance because no one is in control, but yet everyone is a player in the system. And this is being reported on now more widely, both in academia but in industry. KPMG released a report on Bitcoin's role in the ESG imperative. And BlackRock, one of the issuers of the Bitcoin ETP, is effectively the father institution of ESG, and they approve of Bitcoin. So finally, Bitcoin is hope, and you can go to hope.com. Literally, you can go to hope.com and learn more about Bitcoin. Some more resources for you to learn if you wish. The Bullish Case for Bitcoin, Progressive Case for Bitcoin. All of these books are great and worth a read. So if you're a beginner, probably start here on the top line. If you're getting more advanced, then you want to start looking here at the bottom line of these resources here. Finally, you don't have to trust me. You can verify all of this yourself. This is just research that I've done in the space of the last few years. So I hope you enjoyed that. Cheers.